Hi, Noit here. Today I'm going to be looking at my Estwing hammer. Now I've had this Estwing hammer, I bought it when I was an apprentice. Now that is a long time ago now. But what I've got a habit of doing, when the original grip, it didn't feel right and it lost its varnish, and you know, that was probably 10 years after my apprenticeship, I put it on with tape. But this is the second roll of tape. I've got some tape, and this is hospital tape, this stuff here, and it's absolutely fantastic, and it really makes the handle really nice. But it defeats the purpose because, as you know, the Estwing hammers have the leather, I was going to say braid, but it's not really braid, it's pieces that are actually locked in and squashed in the hammer. But obviously I think a couple of mine is probably gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this off, and I think I've probably got, as you can see, some tape there, some electrical tape that I put on, like I say, years and years and years ago. Now I've got lots of hammers, and I've done another video about putting, restoring an old hammer. But this is my kind of, if I go away anywhere, I take this one, and I take that one, and I take this one. You know, it's a bit of a throw about. It's slightly heavier, although I think that's a 24, and that might take 26. But anyway, this is like an off-the-shelf kind of hammer, cheap kind of hammer, and I did grind the things off, which doesn't look very nice. This is the hammer that I did. I restored the hammer back to life, which I've got another video for as well. So that one just lays about the bed, but I really like that because it's nice and light. But I would certainly not take that one if I was going out and about and doing stuff. So I take this one, and I would certainly take this one. That's good for like pulling out nails, and I take the crowbar. So what I'll do is I will take all this tape off. You don't want to watch me take all this tape off, and see what is underneath, because what I think I might have to do, well, let's see if we can get it off, but what I think we might have to do is buy leather shoelace and tightly wind that in, glue it, epoxy it, probably epoxy, and then sand it off, but fill in the bits that are opened up or rotted away. I think that's probably what has happened. But anyway, I'll switch it off, take all the tape off, because I'm having a coffee just now because I'm between jobs. So you don't want to watch me take all this stuff off, so I'll switch it off and I will come back to you. Hello, I'm back. Well, that didn't take very long at all. I thought I'd put a number of tape on the handle, but there was just one row of tape. Like I say, I'm just a little bit through my coffee, so it didn't take long at all. But it is opening up. Not too bad. It seems really dry. These white bits here are actually plastic, but it is just needing a little bit. It doesn't need much. It just needs something packed in there. I mean, I could epoxy it, and that's what I might do first. Is I might open this up and squeeze epoxy into here, and certainly it's needing a join there, and try and squash it all up. Maybe do a bit next to this as well, but work out what ones I need and squeeze epoxy in there, and then give it a good sand, because it feels sticky now because of the back of the tape. But I mean, I love to see the colours of the handles, and it's leather. I could send to America, but I've always got a problem with posting in Australia and buy the whole lot, take the end off and do the whole lot again. But there's guys on YouTube, I've seen them with redoing it. They've you know, put that rope type stuff around it, and they've got it back. I mean, this is you know, that brings back memories of, you know, using that all the time, every day, as an apprentice, because that's when I bought it. But it's just probably dried out. I've got some wood oil on. I might just coat it with wood oil, but I'm not wanting to do that. I've linseed oil. Boiled linseed oil would be the stuff. So what I might do is, because I'm almost finished with coffee, I'm going to do another job, is get the epoxy out, because I think this section here, that section there, is like it's free, and then I think there's a section between here and there that's free, and then that would do that up. So I think I'm in 3 sections here. So if I was to squeeze some in, that would sort 1 and 2 out, squeeze some in there and squeeze some in there, and then give it a good sand. And I would probably quite likely get that back, and then I would have to maybe dip it and let it run off the boiled linseed oil, but I don't have any of that just now, so I'd probably have to get some. But I'm a little bit of a distance away from that, and then tidy up. This is a follow-on to my Estwing hammer. And I'm going to show you what I did here, because I was thinking about gluing up the individual parts here. In fact, I was thinking about replacing all that, but I really didn't think these were all that bad that I had to replace them. But I just had to get probably 1 mil of something in between here. So what I've got here is I've got Shelley's Iodide, which in effect is an epoxy resin. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up here, and in the hammer shaft I've got a really good long, strong, it might have been a bootlace, but I'm really not sure what it was, but it seemed really strong and robust. So what I've done is I've epoxied the bootlace and strung it in tightly, extremely tight, to the gap that was in the hammer, in between the leathers. So hopefully you can see that. So all I've done is I've strung this round in there nice and tight. So what I'm going to do here, and what I did was I strung along here the epoxy, so as I pulled it in, it was getting the iodine. So I've tied a little knot here, and as you can see there's a little bit of a lip there, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shave that off with any excess epoxy. But because there was a few gaps, all I'm going to do here is I'm going to epoxy that in. Now, as I say, I can take it off afterwards, because I'm going to have to cut this lace, this straggle here. I'm going to have to cut that off, but I can't like put it any further in. So I'm just going to epoxy all around here, and pretty much shave it off after, because as I said earlier, there was nothing the matter with the leathers really, and I thought I would have to individually do the gaps, but once I strung this in and it was tight enough, I think that's probably all I'm going to need. Now I've got a few other hammers that I think one in particular maybe I've done previous on a video, that I always meant to epoxy up. I'm just going to use this epoxy up because I've got it made up. bit of a mess, but anyway, I think that's going to do it. Now, if I leave that on the back of my bench, I may have to lie it down. Now, I'm just going to show you this. With the light on. So what I've done is, I've epoxied some of this because I had excess epoxy. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to epoxy in this, and then I'm just going to buff it off. Just because it looks better with epoxy in there. So I'll epoxy them up. And if there's anything else I need to epoxy, I'll do it now because I've got some stuff made up. So I'll get back to you. So I've epoxied on the top there. Now once I just give that a bit of a, I've done that one as well, make it all shiny. Let's see, that one's just sitting on top of the toolbox. Just lovely. So that'll make a massive difference. Once you shave that off, I'll give it a little bit of a grind with some sandpaper with my angle grinder, and that should just come up beautiful. Now what I'll do with this shaft, and I've got an Estwing hatchet, small hatchet as well, is I think I might have already put linseed oil on there, so I'll just put some more linseed oil on there, and then when I've got this one done, and I'll just sandpaper that back, and then just linseed oil the whole lot, and really that should be coming back to close to what it was when I bought it. I don't know what they put on, because it's a sort of a hard, I don't know, varnish, but anyway, that's my Estwing hammer, and could have got epoxy. Some of the other hammers, I think this, was it this one? This one I did a video of, trying to get it back. It's still a little tad rusty. The rust keeps coming back because it was particularly bad. If you watch my other video on, I think it's getting an old hammer head back to life, something like that. I think I've got this one just recently, did that. It came from my brother-in-law in Sydney. This one I did, I think this was the first one I did, but I didn't video it, and I think I used this one and this one as a comparison. But anyway, if you like what you see, make a comment if you want to make a comment. I just see an air bubble there, so I might just touch that up, but it just takes quite hard. Okay, now this is my Estwing hammer that I was doing. As I said, I've put a thread or a thick kind of leather-ish kind of bootlace round there. It wasn't a leather, but it was certainly more substantial than a piece of string, and that has certainly tightened up the whole handle. You know, okay, I've got a bit of a mess of epoxy on here, but I've really tightened that handle up. It's really come out really well, but it's a bit unsightly with the glue on it. So what I might do, because it's been glued for about 3 or 4 days, because I wanted to make sure it was hard, and when I had epoxy, I've epoxied the tops of these hammers just to make it kind of tighten them up a little bit, just in here. You know, so I've got a few hammers, but this is my tried and trusted carrot since I was an apprentice hammer, but it is a bit slightly lippish there. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to put my angle grinder like a sanding disc and just like rub it smooth, and then I'll dip it in, I think I've got some linseed oil, so I'll just dip it in there, because I really like the leather. I was worried at this, because you see a few gaps here, and I was worried that it was going to like you know, be able to open up, but that has certainly filled it up because there was a bit of a gap here as well. But I'm really happy that I'll maybe show you once I've done this how it actually turns out, because I'm going to have to sand it because there is a bit of epoxy on there, because I don't want it epoxied. I don't want it epoxied at all. I want it, you know, the leather to be coming through and have the linseed oil like penetrate the oil. You know, I've got my hatchet, which is another Estwing one. Oiled oil this because they get really dry, but this looks, because they put a bit of a lacquer or something on it. I think you've got like when they're new there's lacquer, so you've got to, I think, either sand it off or, you know, because obviously the stuff doesn't, you know, the linseed oil doesn't impregnate that because it's got that lacquer on there. But anyway, I'm quite happy with that, so it's a lot better than what it was. You know, there's a little bit of a sharp bit there, or I probably would have left it, but I like them. Okay, I'll get back to you when I do this, maybe in a few days time when I've got the angle grinder out and I'm doing it between other jobs. Okay, because I might just have to take that very timidly tame, because I don't want to buff the leather and make it the wrong kind of shape. It's got to be that kind of shape, you know, because as you can see it's kind of, you know, coming down and wider here. Anyway, I'll get back. Hi, Norman Notes here again. Now I was going to finish off my video on my Estwing hammer. So you may not see, previously I wrapped rope and stuff around here, like really thick string around it. Now what I've done is I've put the gel, the really good Araldite gel glue in there, the hard stuff. So what I've done, as you can see, is I've now put the grinder on there and just gently shaved and made it really smooth, so the handle grip is lovely. Now there is some slight indentations here that I probably could get the glue, the two-part glue, and just, you know, build it up. But the shape, you know, it's nice and smooth and lovely. I did have some linseed oil, so I put some linseed oil on here just to coat up the leather and just give it a bit of a something just to impregnate the leather and keep the leather kind of moist. But what I'm going to do probably is sand all this off and try and dip it in the linseed oil, and that'll build it up. But it's really come up great. There's no, you know, joins, because I thought I would have to glue. I maybe said previously I thought I would have to glue up that, but that's just really tightened it up and, you know, really brought my hammer back to life. So that's my Estwing. When I do this, I'll film that as well and show you the finished article. But it's pretty well. I mean, I'm using it. I'm using it. It's the general pickup hammer. When I do anything, I just absolutely love it.